A very warm greeting to everyone present here and welcome back to Cricket Analysis by CNE. This is the fourth test review between England and India, and this test has proved to be a meticulous test, a very well played out test, and a very hard working test for both sides. We'll get into that as I introduce my expert panelists for the day. It's Proneet Ghatak in front of me, who is in a very good bright green shirt. I was mistaking it for for another shirt. I can't mention the shirt name, but you look good in it, Puneet.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, this is not a green shirt, yellow shirt. This is.
Oh, yellow shirt. I'm a bit colorblind, so I'm actually very I can't say the proper color. I get confused between green and yellow. But let's continue on to the main topic of the day.
Yeah.
A lot of things to talk about really, because in our segments we're going to talk about series as it stands. We're going to talk about how the series is poised and what the teams have in their cards to play to help their cause for series victories. Then we're going to talk about the conditions, the playing 11s of the teams. England have already posted their playing 11. They always do that. So we're going to talk about predominantly, we're going to talk about India's playing 11. Then we're going to talk about toss, who won the toss. No prizes on guessing who. And then we're going to talk about the four innings that played out. And then, of course, the afterthoughts and how this test match was played out. So without further ado, let's get on to series as it stands. The series at this time is very well poised. It's 2-1 advantage England, who have won a very dramatic Lord's Test win. It was one of the better Test matches played in this decade, and they have proved the mettle, and they have gone on to win the Test match by 22 runs. How much that will affect India will that time will tell, because they have a very big disadvantage now, having to win at least all these two matches to win the series. So it's very important for India to force a win here. But despite the conditions at Old Trafford, as we know, Old Trafford, we have talked about it, Old Trafford has a dryish kind of spell compared to other pitches where it supports more spin usually than pace because it doesn't have moisture. But considering the fact that the day before the test match, the whole day, at Old Trafford at Manchester, it rained, so the pitch was covered. And despite how dry a wicket could be, pitches which have been exposed to suppose moisture and have been covered up retain the moisture, and then in the next day it assists the bowlers. So it really was a big standing point, because I feel like that changed a lot of tactics for suppose the bowlers coming into this test match. So this was the contention for the series as it stands, and now we go on to the playing 11s. Well, the playing 11s of the teams. I'm going to talk about England first, because the English playing 11 we don't have a lot to talk about, so we're going to talk about England, and then we're going to talk about India. The English playing 11 is more or less the same, just the one change in front of them, where Liam Dawson comes in for Shoaib Bashir, who's injured due to his thumb injury. And Liam Dawson is a very capable left-arm orthodox bowler that Proneet has himself mentioned. We have Zach Crawley, Ben Duckett, Ollie Pope as top three, then Joe Root, Harry Brook, Ben Stokes as the middle order, Jamie Smith, Liam Dawson as the later middle order, and Chris Wokes, Brandon Carson Archer as the frontline pacers. This is the playing 11 of England, and now we go on to the Indian playing 11. Well, in front of you is the playing 11s. You can see three changes in front of you. The three changes are Kamboj coming in, Sudarshan coming in, and Thakur coming in place of an injured NKR, and out of form Karun Nair, and uninjured Akash Deep. So these are the changes. The playing 11, of course, openers Yashasvi Jaiswal, KL Rahul. One down, we'll expect that Sai Sudarshan will take that role. Two down, Gill, three Pant, then Ravindra Jadeja, then at number 5, either Washington Sundar, then 6 is Shardul Thakur, and then the bowlers. Anshul Kamboj, who is debuting his match, he's playing his first test match after coming to the squad late. And then, of course, Bumrah and Siraj. Bumrah playing his final test match, the third test match, his third test match, and then Siraj, who has been playing the entire series. So, Proneet, what do you make of this 11? A lot to talk about because three changes.
Yeah, definitely. at another test match under the GG era with a lot of changes. So yeah, topic again. But I feel in this match, Akashdeep's unavailability was a forced change in this lineup in the pace bowling attack. So yeah, we both were talking about in the preview regarding whom to take, Shardul Thakur, Prasidh Krishna. So and Kuldeep Yadav was a very interesting topic as well. So we saw that Kuldeep Yadav was not picked, and instead both Shardul and Kamboj were picked. Out of I don't know how Kamboj came in the side, but of course he deserved a spot in the whole 15-member squad. But directly coming to the playing 11 after having a big break of 4 tests, because after the India A Test series he did not play in England anymore. He went back to India. So after this big enough gap of a month, he directly came back into the 11 instead of somebody like a Prasidh Krishna or a Kuldeep Yadav, I would say. So that was a very questionable decision, I would say. But also in the top three, Karun Nair, yeah, he was out of form, and we all were feeling that Karun Nair might be replaced in the coming test matches. And yeah, Gautam Gambhir did it in the fourth test. Of course, Sai Sudarshan deserves a spot at number three. He has been performing. He performed in the first test as well. He scored a solid 30 there, and now he came back in the fourth test and scored a magnificent 60, a gritty 60 of 150 balls.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely it is a very good change, but I feel there is too much chopping and changing, and number three is a very delicate position in Test cricket, I would say. So if Sai Sudarshan was the first choice, then why suddenly they put Karun Nair and dropped him, and now again they are dropping Karun Nair and bringing him in. So many questions there again, but yeah, we might save it for another video with Vedant, I would say.
No, I don't think it's a lot of discussion here because I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like the 11 that Gautam Gambhir has created, it's understandable. It's not the playing 11 that we have created together at CNE. It's a playing 11 with Kuldeep Yadav, but it's a playing 11 that is understandable in the sense of, as we've talked about, the conditions. When you're coming into the day, it's overcast, it's humid, and a lot of moisture is there at the pitch. You don't want to play a Kuldeep Yadav now because now you see there's a green top. The grass is now lush because of the moisture, and then it supports the bowlers a lot. And then you talk about overcast conditions throughout the match. Gill has talked about in the toss that we are expecting to see forecast in the entire match. It didn't happen, but well, if you want to create a playing 11 at that spot, then you might want to consider Kuldeep. Then you might want to consider Kuldeep not playing this test match because three spinners won't be as useful as four pacers when you are having a moisturous pitch. So I think that was the reason Kuldeep Yadav didn't play, or else he was on point. He would have played this test match. And as mentioned in the conference as well, that they want to play Kuldeep Yadav, but it's understandable. It's spacing conditions. You don't want to play more than two spinners. Two of them are obviously batters, but three spinners are too much with three paces there as well, and Bumrah being delicate. So that's understandable. Another point you had is why Anshul Kamboj directly came on to the test match. Well, questions can be raised because Anshul Kamboj was at England when he was selected. It was not like he came back from India to there. He was already in England, so he was of close availability. We don't know about Harshit Rana. Vedant told me that another day to add the point of Harshit Rana in that if Harshit Rana was there in the squad in the first place, then why not get him out? Why get him out and then get Kamboj in later on? But we don't know the availability scenario because a lot of logistics are involved as well, Proneet, because Harshit Rana may have gone back to India and Kamboj is in UK, so maybe he was of closer availability. Then that would be the question because jet lag is also the question. So I don't think that is a talking point. But over Prasidh Krishna, it is a bold move, but I feel like Gautam Gambhir has taken that kind of choice because, of course, in the 7 test matches Prasidh Krishna has played, he has given out an economy of +5, the highest economy ever who has played 5+ test matches. So that is quite expensive in the front that you want someone to be consistent. Yes, he has bowled the last innings in a quite a disciplined manner, but you see in the team combination and you see that in the practice side, you see that if Prasidh Krishna has not been consistent and someone like an Anshul Kamboj has been consistent in English conditions till now, then you want to bring him back. So that is the reason for getting in, suppose, Kamboj instead of someone like Prasidh Krishna, who has played two matches already. Then another point, Karun Nair, a very big discussion because I feel like it's a double-edged sword at the end of the day because at one end you want Karuna to play because he has been getting the starts. It's not like he has been being lucky in the sense that he has been getting on with the runs. He has been getting the runs in quite a good fashion in by middling the ball. It was not like he was edging it all day. It was middling the ball. He was getting those starts, but as the starts couldn't be converted in all the test matches, and especially when you need someone like a number three to play well in the fourth innings, he has not been able to do that. So that is a questionable point, and I feel like the whole world has been talking about replacing Karuna, and Gautam Gambhir has exactly done that. But I agree with your point as well, Tony, because in the sense that Karun could have been backed. It's in our choice of CNE to back Karun because we like backing players, but it's not a popular opinion as anyways, because I've seen on Twitter or X or whatever you might call it, but Twitter or X, they said that drop Karun because he's useless and his cricket, the cricket chances that he has received, he has had enough 3 test matches. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a tough decision the Indian management had to take. It was not easy. It's not like you back Karun even after he has not scored 3 test matches in 3 test matches. So it's tough, and I feel like he'll get criticisms in on both ends. One for getting Karuna or not getting Karuna. So at the end of the day, he'll get the criticism. So, but he has taken the other route of not backing Karuna, and this decision of not backing Prasid and Karuna has, I think, that it shows that they don't want to get Karuna and Prasid Krishna back in the squad. It makes sense that way. If you don't back Karuna or Prasid Krishna, it makes sense to not back them then, because then you have opted them out. But I will be completely criticizing Gambhir if you get Prasid Krishna and Karuna back at some point, maybe in the next test match or in the other series as well, because then this will not make sense. So that is the playing 11 to learn. That is my opinion. So yeah, this is the playing 11's long discussion and me countering your point, but I feel like this 11 can be questioned in some ways, but at some point it also makes sense. So yeah, playing 11, toss time. Proneet, any guess who won the toss? Who won the toss this time?
I think it is Gautam Gambhir who won the toss, I think.
No, wrong. You have gotten a 50-50 opportunity, but you have gotten it wrong. England have won it again, and India have lost their 15th toss in a row now. They have lost all tosses this series, and this is ridiculous now. It's just fixed.
Yeah, I think tosses are always fixed against India, I feel, because 2-3 years in a row this has been happening. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know what is the problem in the toss time for India.
yeah. And I feel like jokes apart, I feel like this is a serious discussion because India has been the disadvantage a lot, and especially like at a condition like Old Trafford, where the pitch tends to flatten out throughout the match. You would want in if India won the toss, they would have also had bowled first. You would want that or a decision that would favor them. So them not winning the toss has played a lot of problems because, of course, in the Lord's Test match where India lost that toss again as well, they were forced to bat first and then they had to bat at fourth innings at a very crumbly and a very tough pitch to bat on. So, yeah, I mean, they had to do the hard yards and England had the advantage here. Not the advantage that England have asked for, but if they get it, why not? So, England have won the toss again and have chosen to bowl first. And this time we now go to the first innings as how India batted. Tony, talk to us about how the first innings played out and if this total of 358 is good.
The first inning started off with Yashasvi Jaiswal actually playing a very patient innings of 58 of 100 plus balls, I feel. So yeah, that innings, I think Yashasvi Jaiswal didn't try to force himself to play any shots, which he actually committed a lot of mistakes regarding playing a lot of aggressive shots in the start in the previous test match, as we saw. So actually, he learned from his mistakes, I would say. And then again, KL Rahul, as usual, he is the most dependable player in this whole batting lineup.
Mm.
The openers did not disappoint. They stitched a partnership of about 94, 95 runs. So again, that was a very good start. And then number three, Sai Sudarshan, replacing Karun Nair, scored a gritty 60 of 150 balls. That was
Mhm.
a remarkable innings. But I felt he somehow fell to the trap of Ben Stokes on the leg side delivery. I
Yeah.
feel he's I think unable to resist the temptation or something. Not a big issue, but I feel just the temptations is not working
He's
out like that.
inexperienced as well, I think, Proneet, because
So on the other hand, yes,
so yeah, I feel
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
really is inexperienced. So maybe he'll learn it in the future to get it back into his own groove to not take those risks. Maybe if he's not as confident in playing those shots. So yeah, but otherwise, 60 of 151 he has top scored. It's nothing less to be proud about, especially after being dropped in after the first test match, which I have a big problem with Gambhir for. And I think the only problem I have with Gambhir in this series is dropping him after the first test match. You don't want to do that. He literally proved in the first innings why he shouldn't be dropped after the first test match,
Yeah.
and he has done enough to prove that he should be part of number three. So yeah, then Proneet, you want to talk to me about Rishabh Pant and how he's the most brave batsman in this entire test lineup.
Yeah, Rishabh Pant, hats off to him. No, there is, I think, as we all say at CNE, that the Rishabh Pant can't be categorized as a particular type of batsman.
Hmm.
He's a completely different type of a player. So yeah, he playing a good aggressive knock of 37 and then getting injured. And then coming to bat the next day after the doctor suggesting him a 6 weeks rest. So yeah, the passion for the game never dies. So Rishabh Pant is a warrior. I feel in this test match he played like a warrior. He came in, and the thing I am angry about, I feel I really got irritated by the fact that when Rishabh Pant came to bat after being injured at number 8 or 9, I feel, I don't know when he came to bat. I don't remember the position. Jofra Archer and I think Chris Wokes or Cars, I
Ben
don't
Stokes,
remember who
Ben
was on the other
Stokes,
end.
Ben Stokes
They
was
were
coming.
forcing Yorkers on the in Ben Stokes, yeah. Yeah, Ben Stokes and Archer. They were forcing Yorkers on the injured toe of Rishabh. I mean, come on, at least respect the player who is coming out to bat like that. You bowl him bouncers, you bowl him short balls, you bowl him, you try to get him out, anything works. But you are trying to hurt him more. They talk about sportsman spirit and all, and now they are not playing by that. So this is really not respectful, I feel.
Well, the Englishmen are known for being hypocrites. They take moral victory of ashes. They
Exactly,
take
exactly,
they talk about
exactly.
sportsmanship. We'll talk about how it ended in the fifth day as India refused to shake hands. So I mean, lot of hypocritical behavior by the Englishmen. But hey, I mean, you need to be competitive, and on their perspective, maybe you want them to be aggressive and you want Rishabh Pant out of the test series completely and not come back into cricket ever after seeing the kind of
I,
bashing
I mean,
Pant did.
he was already declared out of the series, out of the last test match in the after he got
Yeah,
injured on day
no,
two.
maybe for
So I
life,
don't
maybe for
know if
life.
they what they were trying to do.
Maybe they don't want to see with Rishabh Pant again.
Yeah,
But nah, but coming into the main point of the
yeah.
things, Rishabh Pant played a valiant knock, and Gautam Gambhir himself said in the press conference that this knock will be remembered for the ages, and it will be because after coming after a broken toe, coming out limping, and then going on to bash Archer to the ground, it felt like a personal victory because Rishabh Pant has that kind of capability, and coming after a car accident, coming after such a big injury for about a year, and then coming out to get into form again, then getting injured again, and then coming out to score a 50. It's something that will inspire batsmen and everyone in the future in the entire world. And high praise to Rishabh Pant for that. But after what has happened to be a good innings, Shardul Thakur also scored a good 41, and India ended up with 358. I'll summarize the batting innings where Yashasvi Jaiswal scored a 50. The entire top order batsmen scored very brilliantly. It has been a problem for India in the recent past that the top order batsmen haven't been scoring, but not in this series. It has again been proven that the top order has proven the metal with top scorers Sudarshan, then Pant having his 50, Thakur replacing NKR. We had a lot of questions about Thakur, talking about if Thakur is good enough as a batsman. He has shown again why he is a good batsman as well. He has scored a valiant 41 as Washington's 27, and India come up to 358. 358 is the first total which has come here, and I feel like I'll come to your opinion, Praneet, but I feel like this is a good total come in the context of conditions. They batted throughout with overcast conditions and lights on. So the ball had the shine, and the whole day they played with overcast conditions and playing with the moisture where the pitch is doing something throughout the whole innings, which getting to 358 from there is a very good effort. It will be very underrated because a lot of things came forward after the match, but I feel 358 is a very good total, judging by the conditions how they played. We're going to talk about the bowling performance as well, and you see one man up there, a man who never gives up for his team, another all-rounder, Ben Stokes, who achieved his fifer. A very valiant fifer for Ben Stokes because bowlers were not contributing with him, but he stood tall and he came about and took a very valiant fifer, with Jofra Archer supporting him for a threefer and Liam Dawson and Chris Wilkes getting the 1 wicket. So that is the entire first innings. And then we're going to talk about how England replied with their batting. So let's go on to the second innings. Second innings time, Proneet, you'll see a mammoth total in front of you, 669. What do you make of this?
I feel it was complete. It was a complete flat pitch bashing. It was a
Yeah.
complete flat pitch bashing, I would say, because compared to India's total, if we compare India's 358 to this 669, I would rate India's batting innings higher. I feel because they battled through the conditions in the 1.5 days that they batted. Compared to England, I feel. But yeah, England batters definitely performed really well. The top four scored. I think Zach Crawley scored a 84, then Duckett scored a 94, 70 from Pope, and a century, 150 from Joe Root. Joe Root never stops. Every day he just comes in, scores centuries, breaks records, and increases the BP of Sachin Tendulkar. So yeah, that is his job. So
Yeah,
yeah,
why BBL Sachin
and the
Tendulkar? Because he has come across Ricky Ponting, Rahul Dravid, and Jack Callis in the same innings. So the only
yeah.
person he needs to take over is Sachin Tendulkar to become the highest run scorer in Test cricket history. That is a marvelous achievement because that will cement his name to be one of the best Test players of all time, and he's on course towards that. And of course, we can talk about how this pitch has completely flattened out. It was a complete flat deck. Nothing was happening in the wicket, and it went on to be there was no opportunity set by the bowlers to get any wickets because it was a complete flat deck. Nothing by the spinners, nothing by the pacers. So it was a very flat deck. But if I want to criticize India a bit as well, because I feel like their bowling was not inspirational. But usually you see Jasprit Bumrah being inspirational. You see Mohammad Siraj being inspirational, but none of them were inspirational. And Anshul Kamboj, I'm not going to talk about him much because it was his first Test match, and going into a very flat deck as your first Test match, it hurts a lot because it hurts your confidence a lot because it's not a wicket that supports you. So very tough Test match for the bowlers. Shardul Thakur also bowled the 11 overs, and Jadeja had to do the main work, getting the 4 wickets of 143 because all the bowlers were tired. But another contention point I have for you, Proneet, is that Washington Sundar was introduced in the 69th over. Do you feel like that is too late? And especially talking about how in his first 10 overs he got 2 wickets. So was it a big miss by Shubman Gill?
Yes, definitely. Bringing a spinner like Washington Sundar in the 69th, 70th over, yeah. So it is a huge mistake, I feel, because if you compare India's bowling to England's bowling, I feel India's pacers are bowling a lot more overs than the English pacers, because in the whole series, I would say, even in this match, the English bowlers, none of the pacers, I feel, bowled more than 24, 25 overs in the whole match. Even in the second innings, where they bowled a lot of overs, about 150 overs they bowled in the second innings, for 25 overs. So I feel there is an underutilization of the spinners in the Indian bowling lineup, because we see that a bowler like Liam Dawson, or when Shoaib Bashir was there, they were bowling 35, 40 overs, 40 plus overs they were bowling. So I
Right.
feel and it is not that they were not getting the wickets. Shoaib Bashir may have been bashed a bit, but Liam Dawson bowled with lot of control, and he got a wicket.
Yeah.
So actually using spinners. Washington Sundar 30 plus 35 plus overs is very important from India's context. So and actually Jasprit Bumrah's workload can be managed in this way. You cannot always give him 40 overs to bowl and expect him to play the whole series. So
Yeah.
yeah, this way things can be managed, I feel.
Yeah, we talk about Jasprit Bumrah being the magician, but every magician also has his bad day. So maybe Jasprit Bumrah didn't have his best day as well. Maybe India could have been more disciplined in the lines. They have not been disciplined as well. Even though it is a flat pitch, but I feel like if India were a bit more disciplined, it would not go to something like a 669, maybe a 500, but not something that is as big as 669. I have not seen that big of a score considered by India in recent history. So maybe a lot of runs leaked by the bowlers because I feel like they were indisciplined with the line. Talking about Shardul Thakur, Jasprit Bumrah himself, Mohammad Siraj, then Anshul Kamboj in his starting was also nervous, so he also gave away some runs. But the only control you'll see is Sundar and Jadeja. Maybe Sundar could have been brought in earlier and could have been bowled more overs because they got 6 wickets. So majority of the wickets they have gotten. So not a lot by the Pacers. And then you can now people were talking about whether suppose getting like someone like Kuldeep Yadav now, but I feel like that is a conversation you don't want to have because when they made this 11, the conditions were very favorable to the Pacers. So you can't predict conditions and then see that you can't predict the weather and say that there'll be sunlight on day two. There was not sunlight on day two as per the weather conditions. So for that, Kuldeep Yadav hasn't been selected, but it was unlucky for India for the weather not favoring them as well. So that led to 669, and also I feel like emotionally as well. The Lord's Test match also it was a very overwhelming Test match for India, and maybe that also showed a bit in this Test match where their bowling was half-hearted. We talk about Mohammad Siraj being a bowler with full heart, but you see, here as well, you see him bowl at like 130 clicks instead of 135, 136 clicks. So it was not a very full-hearted effort as well, and maybe the Lords match was also haunting them a bit. So yeah, but yeah, I mean 669. You think about 669 scored by England. India have won what 3+3 sessions, like about 5.5 sessions to bat it out because you cannot really set a target for England. You have to cover out 311 runs as a trail and then get on to get a target. It's really not possible. So getting you would really predict that England would have won this match, and there's no chance for India to win this match and win this series. So that was a talk here, and we could going to talk about the revision of the second innings. Well, in the top six, all the batters performed. You can see a complete red line talking about Zach Crawley on his 84, Ben Duckett on his 94. They both missed out on hundreds. Ollie Pope scored 71. Joe Root with his record-breaking 150, and Ben Stokes with his again his dry spell coming out, and he's scoring a 141. So that was very impactful. And then, of course, Braden Carr scoring 47. We have already known how handy of a batsman he is. So that has led to 669 by England. On the bowling side, India have also scored some centuries, 4 centuries actually, coming from Bumrah, his first ever by Indians bowling. Then Jadeja 143 has bowled about 40 overs. Sundar 107. Mohammad Siraj also 140, but the main, of course, the star is Ravindra Jadeja, who has stepped up for India. And I feel like the main theme for India in this Test series was that the all-rounders, the best all-rounders of both the teams stepped up and performed when it mattered the most. And that we can see it in this Test match as well, how they have performed. So yeah, quite a lot to cover for India. 311 runs, and it's a lost cause for India. I feel like the OneWorld felt like they had no chance to get back and win this Test match. They were already contemplating innings defeat. So we're going to go on to the third innings now. I'm going to talk about what happened in the third innings. And now this is the third innings of what could be a very decisive innings for the whole series for India, as India are completely down. 311 is a humongous trail, and to get that out and then try to create a target, it's impossible for a win, of course, Proneet. But for a draw, that is a possibility. But as we have termed, the English don't play out for a draw. So maybe it's not on their cards, of course, to play out a draw because that's on India to have that kind of mindset to play out for a draw. But well, England hit a draw and they have never achieved a drawn match, barring a rain-affected match. So it will be quite an interesting test match to see if a draw happens. So continuing on, we're going for the third innings. India have been battered badly with the 669. Their fielders were out for 2 days and they were completely up against it. And under the sun, it was absolutely devastating. And then coming forward, and then you see in the first over, you lose 2 wickets. Two wickets, successive wickets, 0 for 2. India with 0 for 2, coming into a trail of 311. I have heard someone say that India staring down the barrel, and people are saying expected. There is no hope of India anymore. It was a lot of mixed emotions coming forward in Twitter. Actually, I've seen so many bipolar tweets. One is talking about, well, India have a chance. Be optimistic. Second, this India team is absolutely gone. Sack Gambhir, sack everyone, make a new Indian team again. This team has nothing to do. Well, lot to talk about because 0 for 2, KL, Rahul, and Gill are up against it in a complete newish ball surface, and suddenly there is a Manchester overcast yet again. So it was like the England batsmen or the England team were doctoring conditions as well, coming forward. They had some rain coming forward as well, but all jokes apart, it was a complete devastation where if India are starting with 0 for 2, it's like this match is done. They're like accept the innings defeat now. It's like the Ben Stokes army saying that accept defeat and surrender. It's done. You have no hope of winning the series, let alone winning this match. Well, to face against 11 players came KL Rahul and Shubman Gill. Shubman Gill at one front has been criticized a lot for just, I feel like that is completely baseless. He has been, of course, out to low scores in his last 3 innings, but social media has not been very easy on him, saying that he's only a flat track bully and he can't score against the pressure and he can't bat against pressure. Well, there's 100 in front of you now. He is now the highest Indian batter like he has the most amount of runs as an Indian batter in England. So that statement and to to see that he has done that, it shows that he's very very well capable of handling pressure and having a trail of 311 and batting with someone, of course, who is on song. KL Rahul has been on song, but think about it. You're trailing by 311 runs, and then you're saying that Sai Sudarshan and you don't have Jaiswal and Sai Sudarshan both. You're 0 for 2, and now you're KL Rahul and Shubman Gill on a very crumbling day 4, day 5 wicket, saying that you have to cover up the trail of 311 and bat the whole day of day 5 and the half of day 4. Well, they were up against us, and the odds didn't match on their favor, of course, because England were looking like they would win the match. But at the end of the day, KL Rahul and Shubman Gill held the torch and they scored a magnificent 200 run partnership. They got India from 0 for 2 to 200 for 2. Their batting was nothing sort of brilliant. I feel like their batting was amazing. And I want to ask a question to you, Proneet. Talk to me about Shubman Gill's approach this innings because I feel like it was a bit different from how he approached his previous matches.
Yes, definitely. Because we saw in Shubman Gill's batting that where after that collapse, 0 for 2, and suddenly it seemed like whenever India was coming to bat, the conditions automatically changed to overcast. So in that kind of a situation, there was nothing left for the batsmen. So KL Rahul on one end was soaking the pressure, I feel. And after the 0 for 2, when Shubman Gill was there, Shubman Gill accelerated. I don't know why, oddly, when he just came in like, okay, I will score through the pressure. I will make the English team feel a taste of their own medicine. He
Hmm.
was playing baseball at that point of time. He was at some 20 of 18 or something like that. So, and suddenly he was at 45 or 55 balls. So at a strike rate of 89, 18, 85, 90. So he approached his innings in a very different way, and and KL Rahul was there batting at 100 balls at 20-25. So he was there sticking at one end. But in the third session, yeah, they batted out the whole second session, and then in the third session when they came out to bat, Shubman Gill completely changed his approach. He was playing on dead defense.
Yeah.
So and KL Rahul, I feel KL Rahul again, I feel uh, was when when there is a guy named Rahul on one end, we know that he will stick there. I feel KL Rahul's performances in this series are of a huge another level. I feel because KL Rahul not getting the centuries, getting those 70s, 80s, 90s, and he got 2 centuries. I feel he played much better than what the numbers suggest, what the
Yeah.
average suggests. He played in tough situations. He played whenever the situations were tough. KL Rahul performed. And now in this test match, Shubman Gill performed as well. He had a and regarding the questions of flat track bully, on a flat track, even if there's a flat track, what do you expect the batsman to do? Score runs.
I
And
feel like
Shubman Gill was doing exactly that.
I feel
So
like it was a complete,
those are
you have a
baseless
lose-lose situation.
allegations.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I think one more point about Shubman Gill is that he was up against it, and I think a lot of good spells came upon him where a lot of bowlers were on probing lengths, and not to take away any credit from England, England were bowling quite well, and I feel like the exact thing I'm talking about on flat pitches, you want to bowl at consistent lengths to create a mistake, and well, Shubman Gill did create mistakes. He got dropped twice, and Jadeja also got dropped once, but we're going to talk about that in a separate topic. But yes, Shubman Gill and KL Rahul. KL Rahul, you have said, as his average suggests, really, it's a misleading figure because I feel like KL Rahul is at his prime form. This is this peak of cricket, and he is at an average of around 70 right now in this series. And I feel like the more cricket he plays in this year, I feel like his stats will get even better because he's that kind of a player. And he was not given his opportunities in the last 5 6 years, where he has been shuffled down the order, then up the order again and again and down the order. So he was not given the chance. But now that he has cemented the opening position and there is no one to take it from him, he's in his prime, and he'll get a lot of rewards from it. And it's exactly what he has done. He has batted under pressure. He has scored a very valiant 90. He deserved 100 there, but he played a very valiant 90, and coming forward from there and then winning the day where at stumps you scored 174 for 2. It's a major win. Yes, you have a lot to do on day 5, but coming out with that statement showed that KL Rahul and Shubman Gill were not going to give up. And then you see that India have hope to make a draw. And that is the other spectrum of Test cricket where, well, you see Test cricket is about wins and losses and chillers at Lords, but it's all also about playing out for draws. The last very well fought out draw I have seen was at the Sydney Cricket Ground at the BGT series for Fly India.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a very well played out draw across 5 days. And this one was promising to be one more. Then we saw another part on day 5. Then we saw a batting innings where the pitch suddenly became very spicy in nature, where you see the ball completely bouncing low and then high. There was a very big difference on the length balls, the bounce of the length balls, as you would expect on day 5. And particularly, this happened to the right hand batsman. So you'll see that the pitch crumbled only on the one side, not the other side. For the left handers, there was no problem. And eventually, when you see those kind of very variable bounce, you see Shubman Gill and KL Rahul batting out very well in the first hour. They were batting it out very well, playing those defenses. Shubman Gill was hurt as well on his thumb. KL Rahul was hit on his pads as well. But well, you cannot really get those lengths out always. And then KL Rahul and Gill perished, and India were once again under pressure of 223 for 4 at lunch. And it was again 88 trail. You still have a lot of work to do because you have to still play out 2 sessions, and now you have Washington Sundar, Jadeja, Shardul Thakur, and an injured Pant. So the batting order looks very shallow now, does it? So it's still India were against it. England had a very big good chance of victory, especially after Rahul and Gill fell. But then came, as I've said, left-hand batters. Something about them, right? And Jadeja, something about Jadeja being the best all-rounder in this generation.
Yes, definitely. This series as a whole is turning out to be a competition between the two best all-rounders in the world at present. And Jadeja is having the best series in his career, I feel, because he is averaging over 100 in this series,
Yeah.
and he got his well-deserved century in the third innings. So yeah, definitely. And also, I feel Sundar needs to be credited as well because we all know that he's a very capable batter. He's a very capable batter. So Sundar was left stranded. Let me go back a bit in the timeline. He was left stranded at 96, not out when the other batsman fell like a pack of cards in Ahmedabad in 2021. He scored a century against that very team on their home ground. So, huge statement from Washington Sundar himself. And this is the first time ever that three Indian batsmen from at the position of 4, 5, and 6 scored centuries in the same test match, in the same innings.
Yeah,
So yes, it's a huge plus point from India and a great fight shown by them, drawing the match out. And also the in since 1990, I think 1990, Sachin Tendulkar got a century at Manchester, and after that, suddenly everybody got centuries in this match for India. So
yeah.
huge plus points for India going into the fifth test.
Yeah, and also adding on to your stats as well, this is also the first time 400 there were 400 runs scored by four batsmen by India in this series, namely Yashasvi Jaiswal. I feel I'm not sure I'm saying those names rightly or not, but Shubman Gill, Rishabh Pant, Ravi Jadeja, and maybe Yashasvi Jaiswal if I'm not wrong. No, KL Rahul, sorry. Yashasvi Jaiswal hasn't gotten 400 runs, but
KL
KL
Rahul.
Rahul, Shubman Gill, Ravi Jadeja, and one Rishabh Pant have gotten 400 runs. This is the first time ever that has happened, and this shows that India are ready to take responsibility. And without Kohli and Rohit, India can survive as well, and they have done very well. Jadeja is the veteran of the side; he'll take responsibility, and he has taken responsibility very well. That I am the veteran of the side; I need to be the MVP of the team, and he has shown that in his bowling and in his batting, and that's why he scored 100. And Washington Sundar, I feel like as much as we have criticized Gambhir and appreciated Gambhir as well, but I feel like Gambhir has to be appreciated very well to send Washington early at number 5, because, as I've said, the pitch was very troubling for right-handed batsmen. Like around the day 5, the pitch for the right-hand batsman was crumbling, so the bounce was very variable. But for the left-hand batsman, it was flat. So for Gambhir to send in Washington Sundar at number 5 as a left-hand batsman, knowing the fact that Braden Cars hasn't been doing well against them, and especially that the left-hand batsman found it easier to bat despite the rough that Liam Dawson had threatened earlier. It was, I think, a very good masterstroke by the Indian management to put forward Washington Sundar instead of someone like Shardul Thakur or someone like Rishabh Pant early as well, because that could have added some pressure. So someone like a technically sound batsman like Washington Sundar, who is defensive in nature as well, that worked out. And then they went on to, well, completely bat out England from any sort of winning chances. They have been wicketless in the last two sessions, and boy, that was something of an escape. It was a one of a kind escape from India to secure a draw after being trailing by 311 and then scoring 425 for 4. Then we go on to the scorecard, where you'll see that there has been 300s and a 90, and the second best score is now 0. This is a very funny scoreline because Yashasvi Jaiswal Sudarshan have scored 0, and the next, now the best score is 90 and then 100. So you imagine that in the honors in that top innings board, you won't see KL Rahul on there despite him playing a 90. It's a very funny story of how this innings went on, because there were three centurions in this innings, and the most being Sundar and Jadeja and Gill. But KL Rahul has scored 90, so he's not featuring in the list. So, well, it was a very odd innings in that sense. You don't see those kind of innings usually, but India have played that and scored 425 for 4. In the bowling perspective, I have a lot to say now, because in the bowling perspective, England have, well, a lot to say, because Chris Woakes has been the only dangerous bowler at the start, where he has taken 2 wickets. But other than that, no other very prominent bowlers. Ben Stokes has taken 1 wicket. Here, one more bowler has taken 1 wicket. Of Archer, he has taken 1 wicket. But other than that, it was a complete battering of, well, what you can say is a very sorry bowling lineup for England, because they have ended up with no one has scored a century, but, well, it was a very bad looking scorecard. And poor Liam Dawson had to bowl 47 overs, almost a ODI innings, to save the feet of the Pacers. And one more thing I have to say, Proneet, I want your opinion on this. The English bowling lineup only looks threatening if the all-rounder Ben Stokes is there. Other than that, the England pace bowling, the battery, have not performed as well. Chris Woakes has had an underwhelming season. Archer is coming back, so I'm not talking about Archer. And Braden Cars has looked in bits and pieces. So you've seen that in the past 2, 3 innings, in the past 2 Test matches, Ben Stokes has been the person who has been the most threatening out of anyone. Even in the first Test match, I remember that Ben Stokes was the key bowler. He's the leader of the team, but being a batsman and a bowler, it has taken a lot of toll on his body. So is England bowling a bit weak?
Yes, definitely. I would agree with the fact that Ben Stokes is actually carrying the bowling lineup, I would say. Because we see that we expect from England to bowl really well, but coming into the series as well, coming into this huge series, 5 match series, we were predicting that England is not having a up to the mark, a par bowling lineup, I would say, because it was only Ben Stokes and one big name, that is Chris Wokes, two good bowlers. And Chris Wokes, I would say, had a few days, 1 day, 1 or 2 days, he was bowling well, but overall he did not have a good series. I would say he had below average, I feel, in this series. Ben Stokes, on the other hand, he's always there. Whenever there is a match defining situation, there is Ben Stokes always with the ball for
Yeah.
England. Jofra Archer, yeah, nothing much to talk about him. Bryden Cars as well, bits and pieces, as you said. So I feel there has been too much pressure on Ben Stokes in this series, and this might hurt England going into the future. Ashes, I would say, a bit far in the future, but I would say it will hurt
Yeah.
England in the future.
Because Australia, I believe that Australia won't create flat pitches out there. I feel like there'll be a green pitch waiting for them coming forward,
Yeah,
exposing the English
exactly.
batsmen. So it will be a problem for them in the future. They can make 5 flat pitches out at home, but it can be a problem because it seems like that Ben Stokes has been the only bowler that has looked threatening, and it looked like just like the similar characteristics of Jasprit Bumrah when it comes to bowl. Like for India, Jasprit Bumrah has often looked like the only bowler that was threatening in nature. For England as well, Ben Stokes has always looked like he was the only bowler that could have threatened any wickets. And there was another factor as well, that there has been 3 dropped catches. Well, we talked about how India batted, but there were 3 opportunities present, and well, if those 3 opportunities were taken, this could have been a very different scoreline. Shubman Gill has been dropped at 46. Shubman Gill was again dropped at 82. So it cost them around 60 runs, 1 point. And then Jadeja, who has gone on to score a century, Joe Root has dropped him on his first ball. This was a very costly drop. I feel like the drop of Joe Root was the most costliest one, because if Jadeja went on early, then Shardul Thakur would come out to bat. And Shardul Thakur is not as secure as Ravindra Jadeja, so it would have been a very different scoreline where it would have gone on to the wire with England perhaps winning. But well, Root has dropped perhaps a sure shot win of the series, as that has affected. And Vedant and I have talked about this in the West Indies Australia series, that well, catches are the most important thing in a match, and when you have opportunities present, you have to take them. There have been some tough opportunities, yes, but you need to take them in pressure situations. You are not acceptable to drop it. And well, that has cost England a match to win. It has gone to a draw, and I'd like to say a draw is of 2 halves in cricket. One, a draw can be of a winning draw for a team who has been in the losing side for the entire test match, but going on to a draw, that is someone that has won the draw and said that we are the most dominant team in this draw. And one more team that have been winning the whole match, but then gone on to a draw. They're settling for a draw. So I feel like India are the ones who will be the happiest side after this draw, because England are clearly frustrated. Talking about England's frustration, we have seen some theatrics, Proneet, that Ben Stokes came to have a handshake with Washington Sundar and Jadeja, who were at 89 and 85. Describe that event for me, please. This was a very fun event.
Yes, yes, definitely. I don't know what Ben Stokes was thinking at that point of time, but yeah, I feel the frustration was right on point. I feel because they were when they came into bowl, they got 2 early wickets, and then suddenly I don't think so. Any person watching the game or any person in the English dressing room felt that they had to bowl 150 overs after they got 2 wickets for zero
Yeah.
runs in the first over. So that was clear frustration from Ben Stokes, and I feel they say that yes, we have created the game now. We have some
The modern
imaginary
saviors
laws
of
that
Test
you have to
cricket.
go by them. Exactly, modern saviors of Test cricket. So that those everything is baseless, I feel, because if somebody batted out for a good 80-90 and they saved the test match for their team, and there are like 10-15 overs left in the game, so why not they get their own test centuries? So they deserve the centuries 100%. So yeah, we are not getting our win, so you don't get your century. Okay, let's shake hands, let's finish the match. What is this? When I just don't understand the mentality behind this. When they call themselves fearless cricket, Bazball, everything, but I don't know what happened there. The whole series, the theatrics have been going on, I feel. Zach Crawley first in the third test match, then suddenly this. And again, Harry Brook, after Jadeja's century, he went on then thought that Washington Sundar will sacrifice his century. So what is this mentality, I feel? They are begging, please, man, please draw this test match. I don't know
Please,
what is
please, please,
happening.
मुझे मत मारो, मुझे जीना है. I think that was the whole thing. Because, well,
Yeah, yeah,
again, I've
exactly.
said in the first part of the video as well, they're hypocrites. They're hypocritical in nature, where they haven't really set their own example. And I've heard in the stump mics as well, they have said that it's very embarrassing if you get a century against Harry Brook. How is that a point? It's a very baseless point coming from a champion like Ben
Harry
Stokes.
Brook,
I
no
expect more
man.
of Ben Stokes as a player and as a captain to sulk down a loss and gulp down a loss and have a handshake with a team that has and understand that they need a century. So have a handshake with them, and you are setting the bowling. It's not like they want that Jadeja and Sundar want to get a century against Harry Brook. You're giving the bowling, so why not take the advantage from there? And especially that his point is wrong because he did not get a century against Harry Brook. He got a century against the entire bowling lineup that was probing at him the whole match for the entire 3 sessions. So yeah, I feel like that was crybaby stuff from England saying that they're the saviors of Test cricket, and then they are crying for a draw. So that was very nice, and I feel like India would
Yeah.
like this momentum to carry forward into the next match because they have to win the next Test match. But before that, let's talk about the afterthoughts now and talk about to you, Proneet, how has India made these changes and how has India come about in this test match despite the injury concerns they have had? Because now they're out of Rishabh Pant as well. So a lot of injuries coming forward. But how have they managed that this match and how would you rate this Indian performance in this match?
Yeah, it's a very I would say it's a very bold performance from India, a very fighting performance because even with the injury concerns that they have, they are batting it out, and even with the ball they are striking because I would say with somebody like a Rishabh Pant out for the very important last test match, and we don't know even Bumrah was
Yeah,
expected to play 3 test matches, even he might be out for the fifth test. So there are a lot of questions for India that they need to answer coming into the fifth test match. But even we can't predict what will happen in the fifth test match. So a lot of questions out there. But India battling out in this current test match, in the fourth test match, keeping all the questions out of their mind and just answering with the bat and with the ball. So yeah, definitely huge compliments and, to India. Huge, I would say India needs to be applauded a lot for this performance because their batting lineup overall in this series. This is probably one of the best overall team batting performance I have seen from India in a long time, I would say, because the top eight batsmen, top seven batsmen are performing in every test match. Every test match, the top seven is performing. This is not a side you get to see every other series. So yeah, India is definitely having a great series and fighting a lot, I would say, because I would say luck is a factor that luck plays a huge factor because there is 5 to 10% luck involved in this game of cricket. That is not going by India's way. The scorecard of 2-1 does not suggest the performances that India is doing in this series, I feel.
yep, excellently said, Proneet. It was a very valiant effort by India, especially in this test match, to come out with a draw, and especially that they have lost out in the Lord's test match by only 22 runs. That would hurt them in the future, seeing that if they just scored those 22 runs, if they were fortunate enough to score those 22 runs, they would have been 2-1 up, not losing the series at all. Imagine if India was 2-1 up going to this draw and saying that we cannot lose this series now, and England are at much higher pressure. That was a different universe, but in this universe, England are at lead and India need to win this test match to draw the series and what a series draw it would be, because it would be a hard fought series and every test match has promised a lot, and that has come about to make a big result. And I feel like a 2-2 would be very it will complement how the series went, because both teams have equally fought against each other, and they deserve to both have a hand on the Anderson Tendulkar trophy. So it would be very interesting to see how India approach the last test match and how they try to win it, because a draw or a loss will now result to a series loss, and they would lose the Anderson Tendulkar trophy. But if they win this, they'll retain the Anderson Tendulkar trophy because they won the series at home last year. So very important to see. We'll talk about in the preview as well how that will lead on to be a very big factor. It's going to happen in about 3 days' time now.
Agni, I'm just cutting you. I'm just cutting you short.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just cutting you short, but I really had a point that I need to make on Bazball, because after India, we analyzed India's performance. I really wanted to say about Bazball is that we see that in the past 3 test matches, which England has been actually performing better than what they were previously. So I feel even a lot of experts said that, because the anti-Bazball play that England have been doing with the bat, that has been successful, I feel, because Joe Root, Ben Stokes, Ollie Pope, the main batsmen in the squad, they have been the pillars of the batting, and they played traditional cricket and they succeeded, I feel. So anti-Bazball play has actually benefited England. So we expect that at least the openers going all out. Yeah, openers going all out is a normal thing. Even we had somebody like a Virender Sehwag, Rohit Sharma, Jaiswal. So that is okay. But the whole team going all out is just bizarre. So when they are going outside of this Bazball approach, we see some Joe Root performing. Joe Root, I've always said this, that Joe Root gives his best performance when he plays with a strike rate of 40, 50 and plays his own natural game. Same applies for somebody like a Ollie Pope or a Ben Stokes. So when they assess the conditions, assess the pitch, that is when they give their best knocks. So I would really like to criticize Bazball on this, that Bazball has not resulted well, and rather traditional cricket has resulted well for England.
Yeah, and adding your point, Proneet, that Bazball hasn't been good. The statistics don't lie, and Ravichandran Ashwin does not lie. Ashwin has said in his tweet as well that Ashwin has said that Ben Stokes is a very good player when he applies himself to the pitch and tries to grind out the innings, and that has exactly happened. So, yeah, important point. I'm not saying that Bazball is a bad strategy, but Bazball, the stats are against Bazball right now, and saying that England have performed way better with more applied cricket rather than bashing cricket. That has helped them a lot, and they have won the last 2 test. They have won the Lord's Test match, and they have been able to draw this Test match. So yeah, interesting point whether England will like to continue with that even in the Ashes. If they want to continue with it, that will be an interesting segment to talk about. But yeah, that is very important point for me, that has affected Bazball. The Bazball has affected England a lot. Coming forward now to the review of the Test match and how we have to sum it up at the end of how this Test match went. We're going to talk about the session summary now, because if what you can see in front of you, well, in the first 2 days you see a lot of shared sessions and India winning most sessions, but from day 2, day 3, and day 4, all of the sessions have been won by England. They have won 6 in a row. They won 6 sessions in a row, and that seemed like England have completely battered India out of the contest. But India have won 6 sessions as well. So, and they have shared just the 3 sessions. So that has come out to a very well played draw. Another quote I want to say: everything is balanced as things should be. So that is the whole thing right there. That if you have won 6 sessions, I have won 6 sessions, and 3 of them draw. 1/5 is draw, 2/5 we have won. So well played out draw at the end of the day. So yeah, that is the session summary. Now we come on to the summary of the Test match, where only 3 innings have been played, so not a lot to talk about the fourth innings. There was no fourth innings to play. There was no time for fourth innings. So coming to the summary of the match, India started with the batting as England have put them to bat. India scored a very valiant 358, an underrated 358 compared to the other scores that I've been seeing in front of you. 358 was a good innings talking about the conditions at place, and they have grinded it out with top scorer Sai Sudarshan. who has played a very well good knock of 61, with Yashasvi Jaiswal also scoring 58, with Ben Stokes having a fifer and Archer supporting him for the 3-4. With England replied with a very mammoth total of 669 of 157 overs, with Joe Root and Ben Stokes both scoring twin hundreds, and Ravindra Jadeja being the only threatening bowler with 4 of 143, and Bumrah getting just the 2 wickets. With a lead of 311, you would feel like India are completely out of the match, but India have grinded and they have come from 0 for 2 to 425 for 4, where Ravindra Jadeja is not out at 107, with Shubman Gill supporting at 103. With there somewhere surrounding, Washington Sundar also has scored 100 with KL Rahul at 90. And then the only threatening bowler has looked was Chris Wokes, who did early damage but couldn't do much after the early damage, and Ben Stokes with the only solitary wicket with his 11 overs. So the match is drawn. England lead 2-1, so they can't lose this series. But it will go on to a very important test match coming out Oval, because there's a lot to play. The fifth test match won't be a dead rubber because there's a lot to play, Proneet, and India are trailing 2-1. But at the end of the day, you would see that India has a big chance to level the series, and it would be a big statement by India that we have leveled the series with England. So coming till then, so if you have no other points to tell, till then we have talked about this test match. We're going to meet you again in the preview, Tony. Then hopefully Vedant will join us till then. But till then, it is good night from me. It's a tiring day, and a lot of things have been discussed, and a lot of things to be discussed as well to the preview, as the test match is only 3 days away from now. Expect a lot of changes because both teams will be changing a lot in their pacing lineup and injury concerns by India. But till then, it's good night from us. Good night from me, Agni Brahmachari. Good night to you, Proneet. Good night, sir.
Good night.